The great Indian philosopher Gandhi once said, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever." But we know life is not forever, and death is a certainty for all of us. As part of our My Book series, my next guest, Dr. David Tullock, author of As I Die, discusses with great sensitivity coming to terms with death and the journey towards it. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome.
I got to first ask you, as I read your book, death obviously is a very difficult topic, depressing, deep. Why would you write about it?
For that very reason, most of what I have read and been familiar with myself through education and study has been very technical. And what I wanted to do was blend the technicality of it with a personal story that would ease it a little bit, that would make it something more practical, because we all are going to die, so why not prepare ourselves as much as possible?
All right, but let me be the devil's advocate here. For someone like me who doesn't like to talk about death, I'm very frightened of death, and I'm sure I'm not alone, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's the paradox of it is I'm going to die one day, but I've never died before. So, it is an unknown. In fact, it is the only thing that we know for sure that we're going to do. Mm-hmm. Now, how and when and all those factors and how it affects our families and our friends and our communities is an unknown as well. But it is the great enemy that we all face. We all fight against it. We rage against that dying light, as the poet says.
Now, you decided to write this book as a result of a friend of yours, a close friend, who was diagnosed with a terminal illness. Can you tell me about him?
Sure. His name was Harlan, and Harlan was a good man in the best sense of that word, and he was a good father, a good church person, a good community leader, and when he got his prognosis that his cancer was terminal, that's when I asked him if he would partner with me, let me write the technical part and let him read it to where we could have a technical book as well as a personal book that would come together in the middle somewhere that would be very helpful for a lot of folks.
So you collaborated with him and you wanted to journey with him towards his death?
That's right. I think my basic paradigm about death is it is the great congratulations. It's the great finish. To use an illustration, it would be the end of the game. And that's what we're all playing towards. So I wanted to capture that kind of journey toward that congratulations, finished, you have accomplished what you have come to do idea about death. And he was the perfect one that I thought could capture that, because that's the way he lived. And he proved me to be correct in that when he came to terms with his death was when he really lived his fullest, even very aware that his death could come in at any time, any week, any day.
Do you think writing chapter by chapter with him helped him cope with the end?
I think so, but again, the irony of it is I was writing this wanting to help him and help others, but as I put together what I wanted to say, and when he read it and then gave his feedback, he helped me much more than I think I helped him.
Really? How so?
Well, just the practical side of that, he was dying. I wasn't. I will one day, but he was helping me, teaching me how to live in the midst of probably the worst circumstances we ever face, and that is our own death. But it seemed to me like that he had a hope and a peace and a serenity that was a gift that perhaps only comes to people in those critical times of life.
Now, I know when you showed your dear friend the final draft of the book, I believe he died soon after. What were his thoughts when he saw the final draft? Was he happy?
Yes, he was an unusual man in that most of the time he was never a loss for words. He always had something to say, whether it was a story, an anecdote, or a joke or something of that nature. And I handed it to him and showed it to him, and then asked him if I could read the last chapter to him. That was the only one that he had not read in the process of writing it. And I did, and then handed him the book and let him see it, and he flipped through it just a moment. And he had an unusual way of winking and nodding, and he winked and nodded and then okay, without any words except he said volumes with his tear in his eye, with his wink, with his nod, and with his okay. And then when I left from that visit, he did die the next week, and that was the last time I was able to see him. And the last words he heard from me was reading the book that we both had written.
Dr. Tullock, what an amazing journey you had with your friend.
It was. And when you think about the privacy that he allowed me to be a part of, was truly an honor for me. And it really bonded us in a way that nothing else could have done.
Thank you so much for your story.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to read Dr. Tullock's book, As I Die, go to parsonsporchbooks.com.